Hello everyone and welcome to this month's YouTube collaboration with the Creative Design team. And the topic that we are doing this month is products that we haven't used yet. So each of us have picked a product to share that we haven't picked up or touched, be it recently that we've ordered it and we've just put it on the back burner, or like me, this is 18 months old. I think I've had this for the Square Patterns Thin Cuts. And I will have a link to the playlist below so that you can check out what everybody else is doing. Andrea and Erin have gone before me, and Jama, Katie, Chelsea and Julie will be going after this video. So make sure you come back each day and catch their videos. I know I'm very interested to see what product they haven't used yet and how they're going to create with it. So you can see I've got these square patterns. These were in the 2022-23 core catalogue, so it ran for a whole entire year. I got them in preview period being a consultant, and I haven't run one of these through my die cutting machine at all. This one here will do all the little quarter circles and you can create some very cool designs with it. These two here are exactly the same, so they will cut the perfect triangle for you. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I am a little bit scared of triangles, so having something that cuts them out perfectly is a winner for me. And you also get two of these 2-inch squares. And what is so good about this is you can run these through, they're going to be the same size every time. I know when I'm cutting smaller squares, they don't always work out to be exactly the same size. So that takes all the guesswork out of it when you've got everything perfectly sized for you, and you can make all sorts of cool grid pattern layouts. And if you're a quilter and you want to do a quilt style background for your layouts, these would work really well. The one I'm going to be using today is actually this one here. This one cuts a whole heap of frames. So you get the outside frame and then you get another inside frame that fits perfectly inside there, another one that fits inside, and a tiny little square at the end. And you can have it see-through, or you can mat it on top of one of these squares. I'm going to do something a little bit different with these frames. I'm going to make some shaker elements for my December daily project. The pattern paper that I have selected is the current mix-in, so the November-December mix-ins. And I just wanted to mention at the time of recording this, these thin cuts are still available to purchase. I could do a whole lot of things with these shapes. I'm just going to show you one way today, but I have cut more shapes that I'm going to use, so they may pop up more in my December daily book. So I'm just going to set this paper aside because I have already pre-cut the squares that I'm going to need. I have 2 sets of each that I'm using. I'm going to make 3 little shaker windows, and this is going to be the title page for my album. I haven't done that as yet, so what I'm going to do is use some acetate and build up some shakers on the actual acetate, which is something that I haven't done before. I've cut my piece of acetate at 4 inches by 8 inches, so it's not going to go all the way across a 6 by 8 album because that's a project I'm working on. And I just wanted to show you before I take this apart, you can see that I've got that 4 inches by 8 inch piece here. It's a little bit shorter in height than a memory protector, but what I needed to do was punch some holes. Now I did this off camera and then thought it might be a bit of a cool trick to show you. When you're punching holes, you need to use something as a guide. Normally I use this style of punch, but I wanted to make the holes exactly the same as the page protector. So I've got my single hole punch, I turn it upside down, I line up my piece of acetate over top of a 6 by 8 memory protector, and then I adhere it with a piece of washi, and I can just go in, find the holes and punch these through and use that as a guide. It doesn't damage the memory protector, and I know that I've got them perfectly in place. And then when I'm done, all I need to do is peel off this piece of washi tape and I've got my page ready to go. Now I don't want to damage or mark the acetate, so I'm peeling it directly back on top of itself so that it comes off nice and cleanly. And I know this is going to be a little bit hard for you to see, but I'm using my Versamat to center my piece here because I want to build up my shaker element. You can see I've got some numbers here, and this is from an upcoming product that's coming out 1st of January. Let's Party Scrapbooking. I love these numbers. They are 2 inches high, and I think this is a very versatile set, not just for the birthday elements, but just for the thin cuts themselves. So what I'm going to do with this is lay out some of my squares here that I've got, but I want the shaker elements on the front of my actual page. So I'm going to have the squares coming across like this in a little row, I think. And doing this on top of my Versamat means that I'm going to be able to line everything up. And then my numbers are actually going to hang off the edge of this piece of acetate, but that's the last thing I'm going to do. So I want to make sure that I get this all nice and square. And I'm just going to use my dot roller. I've got my all-purpose mat off to the side here so that I can run my dot roller all the way along the length of each of these. And that will adhere it nicely. And then I can line this up through my acetate and onto the Versamat and adhere that. One thing I did want to mention, I have cut some 2 by 2 inch pieces of acetate. This one I've already done this too, but you do need to remove the protective film. The CTMH acetate has a protective film on it, so it's a little bit cloudy until you actually remove that. So you can see that comes off quite easily, but I do prefer doing it with a piece of washi tape. You can tell which one. This one's a little bit shinier, this side's a little bit cloudier, so I just need to put my washi tape on there and that will pick up the protective film. And I just need to do it on this last one as well. I'm just going to put these off to the side and keep adhering my frames down. Now I'm not using liquid glue for this because it does smoosh out if you get too much on there, so I just wanted to make sure with the dot roller it just stays where it's supposed to on this actual frame. And then I'm going to line this one up as well, and then I just need to flip this over and I'm going to build my shakers on top of this piece here. So what I need to do is attach my frame to a piece of acetate, and then I'm going to put 3D foam tape and create some little shaker windows. So I'm going to go away and I'm going to put all these pieces of acetate with the dot roller onto each of these frames, and then I will be back for the shaker part construction. One thing I did want to mention about my acetate sheet here is I have rounded the corners on the outer edges, not on the inside pieces here. I'm going to see how that goes. I don't think I need to do these ones, but I do like having a rounded edge sometimes when I'm using acetate. Now, before I do the construction of the actual shakers, I thought it might be fun to have a look at the Silver Bells sticker sheet. If you've watched any of my previous videos on my 2023 December daily book, you know that I am using the Silver Bells collection and also the mix-ins for November, December. And I thought it might be fun to put some stickers in these little windows. I'm just going to see what I think of having these here. It might add a little bit of fun to have these. The star might get a little bit lost though. It doesn't have an outline to it. So I'm just having a look at what else I've got here that would mirror up on the other side. I'm not sure if these little bells will do a mirror image. So I'm just going to have a look at this to see if I can do them back to back. It's not perfect, but I think it's going to work. So I'm going to put a bell on this side, turn this over, and when the shaker elements go in, I don't think people are going to notice that these don't perfectly match up. I'm going to use these baubles. These are mirror images as well. I'm going to put one in the center of this one here, and then line this one over top and match that up. So I think that looks good. And there are these circle stars here in the gold. So I think that will work quite well to put onto these little frames. Now I've realized I've put these all in upside down because this is the back side with this frame. I'm putting my shaker elements on the top. So luckily, and this is on acetate and these are peeling off beautifully, so I can start over again, just being very careful. Alrighty, here we go. This is the front side. The frames that are stuck direct to the acetate, that's the back side. So I'm going to put the star actually at the top here. My bauble in the middle. I'm just rubbing my finger over this just to flatten them out a little bit, and then my little bell, and then all I need to do is flip this over to the proper back side of this and put this little bell in. And it's sort of like a little window with an ornament floating in the middle of it, and I really do love the look of that. Now you could leave this just like that. That makes it a lovely page all on its own for this, but I do want to put some shaker elements in here. I have gone ahead and put my 3D foam tape. I've used the narrow one of it. It fits behind these frames perfectly, and these are going to go on top. I'm just going to get them all in the right order, and I'm going to get my anti-static pouch here and just run that round the inside of these so that the shaker elements don't grip to the inside too much. Sometimes the elements just all stick on the inside of the frames and they don't move around too much, and this does help just a little bit to stop that happening. I'll just move this out of the way and bring in these sparkles that I've got here. I'm going to start with these clear loose gems, and I'm also going to add some of these silver stars. So these silver stars are still available to buy, and I'm just going to do a little pile of each onto my actual frame here. So I want to be fairly careful with how I do this. I don't want them going all over the page. So I can scooch them into the middle, and then I'm going to put some of these silver confetti stars. These are nice and flat. You can see I'm spreading them everywhere, so I'm just going to have to move them all back into the actual frame. So I don't want any outside of this area where I'm going to put the frame up. I am going to spread one of these out just a little bit though to see how much there is showing, and I think what I want to do is add just a few more of these clear loose gems just to add a little bit more to this, because when it's in an album and it's sitting up, they're all going to fall to the bottom, but when you're actually looking at the pages and turning it, I want enough there to make it a nice feature, but I also want them to move around a little bit. So I'm just flattening these out just a tad. I don't want them all bunched up, and then it'll be time to put my frames on. And I've got to put my title on there as well. I'm just going to put these away so I don't knock them over. I'm going to run my finger over this so some of that anti-static powder isn't making that all foggy. And then you need to line this up and put this directly over top. And because I've already peeled off the backing for these, it makes it quite easy to do. I'm going to keep going down and doing those for the next two. And the last one here. Now the foam tape does need to meet up at each joint because you don't want any of these elements falling out. So I'm just going to run my fingers over that, make sure it's nice and adhered. I find it easier to put the foam tape on the frame that I'm putting down rather than putting the foam tape in the area, because I find that the sparkles and the shaker elements sort of jump around and get stuck to the piece of foam tape. So it's easier to put the elements within that area and then put the frame on top. I really love how that looks. It's come out really well, and you can still see the stickers behind it. I know it's very hard with the glare of the cameras. It's a really, really hot day here. Summer has finally hit, and we're in 32 degrees Celsius, I think, at the moment. So the blinds are down. I've got a fan on in the background. I can't put the air conditioner on. That makes too much noise while I'm videoing. But I'm hoping you can see how cool that looks. All right, so now that I've done that bit, I need to get on with placing my title. So 2023 is going to hang off the edge, and I've cut these out of glitter paper with the numbers, as I said before, from the Let's Party scrapbooking stamp set and thin cut. But what I'm going to do is stack these up to make them a little bit more sturdier. So I'm going to have, I think, two. I might cut some more actually to form a little bit of stability. So I'm going to cut some more of these, stack them up, and then adhere them on camera for you. I've adhered all the layers together for these. There are 3 pieces of white daisy and the silver glitter paper for the top part, and on the back side, because I am going to put these back to back, this is just 2 pieces of white daisy. So I just need to use my Versamat again. Honestly, I don't think I could live without this mat. It really does make everything so much easier. Not just as a work surface, but for lining things up on. So I'm looking at this and I can tell this is 1.5 inches in here, 1.5 inches in there, and the numbers are going to hang off the edge, so I'm happy with that spacing. So I just need to put adhesive on the top part of these numbers for now. Use my tweezers here to help me align this up and get this nice and straight. So I'm using the line going across here to know where the top of my numbers are going to be, and then I'm going to go to the other side here and do the 2. So here's my 1.5 inch mark, the top of this line here down to the bottom of this one, and then I can put my remaining numbers on. I think I'm going to really like this as an opening page on my December daily book. It's going to be a fun interactive piece, and I'm using acetate quite a bit throughout this album. It's something that I really only used for shaker cards in the past, but I'm going to play with it more. I've already done the front page and the back page using acetate, and now I'm doing this title page. So you can see here I need to attach the rest of these numbers, and I've got to make sure I put the adhesive on the right way. So you can see I've got to flip my number over. Thankfully we have this rub and remove, so I can take all the adhesive off. This is almost turning into be a handy tools to have video. Tweezers, Versamats, all-purpose mats, and the rub and remove. It really is my friend. Sometimes when I'm talking, I just forget about the fact that, like this one, I had to turn it over so that it matches up perfectly with the number underneath. So just line that up, put that over top, and that's going to be a nice and sturdy. It's not going to tear when people are turning the pages. So I'm going to continue doing this for the rest of the numbers, and then I'm going to put this in my album, even though it doesn't have very many pages so far, and show you what this looks like. I have to start printing my photos off for December so far so I can get some more layouts done in there and share those with you. So I'll be back as soon as I've adhered all of these together. So there it is, all finished. It shakes around really well because I've used the anti-static pouch. Not too much is getting stuck on the insides of the foam tape, because with foam tape it's not just sticky underneath this part here, it does have a little bit of tack on the edges as well. So it's good to take that off when you're creating shaker elements. This is nice and sturdy, and I love that it still looks good on the back side because I've replicated the stickers and they create a fun little element in there. And having these numbers hanging off the edge here just creates a great little page. Now I am thinking that I could put some of these Silver Bells dots on here. I really love these white ones. It comes with white, silver, and with toffee as well, and they are glittery, but I'm not sure if that's just going to create too much on here. So let me know in the comments below whether or not you would add dots to this. If I did, I would add them on the front side and then replicate it on the back as well. So let me bring in my album. It's going to look very sparse at the moment because I am working on it. I'll put links below to the first page, and I did the first and the second page, so day 1 and day 2. And now that I'm using these larger numbers, I think what I'm going to do is put the larger 2 there rather than having the slim alphabet. And then I've got this one here that's got an interactive tag element for the last day of the month. So I will put links to those videos below. Let's open this up and put this in and see what it looks like in the album in real life. I love how that's laid up. There's a little bit of gold here with the star, which then follows through with the gold with the acetate on this page here. This one was see-through. I've got silver glitter paper here, so that replicates on here. This is actually desert rose, but it is lending itself towards a little bit of red. And with Silver Bells, there's no red in this, but I am going to bring this color in more and more throughout the album because it really does complement the silver and the gold elements. And I love how that looks. So when that's turned over, it looks nice and neat on the back side, and I've got all my lovely shaker elements there, and they're going to move around as people flip through and look at this album. One thing I want to mention before I go, this page here and this one as well was based on a sketch from our brand new 6x8 sketchbook. So, and this is the one that we released last year. We did call it Days of December 2022, and we've released volume 2, and the sketches in here will help you get get your 6x8 pages done in no time at all. I haven't actually used a sketch for this little title flip page here, but I will be referring to these quite a bit throughout this project. And you can also take the sketches and rework them for 12 by 12s or 8.5 by 11 pages, whatever size you're working on. They're actually invaluable, and there are measurements with each and every sketch, so you're not left guessing as to what size you should be cutting things. As I said earlier, I will have links below for the playlist for the rest of the creative design team. I can't wait to see what they come up with as well, using products that they have not previously used before. As always, thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting, and bye for now.